This is episode 6 of Hitting Hard. A couple weeks we've taken off here, but we're back now. And of course, now I got this friggin' pimple here. Now I'm going live on Twitter. I gotta have a blemish here, but can't have everything in life, right? So, as I said, we took a couple weeks off here. Last week I was kind of knocked out with a stomach bug. Yo, Kyle. And the week before, I was just like busy. I don't know. I don't really like doing these on a Friday because, people are out and about doing things. It's Friday. So I try to make them for Wednesday or Thursday. And I was just like not down to do one 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday or Thursday. And then last week I was sick. And then yesterday I was going to do one. And I was like, eh. And then I was like, I can't go 3 weeks without doing one. So here we are Friday night. So hopefully, you sit here to spend some time with me, and then you go out and you have a good time for the weekend. But this is Hitting Hard, so we got some things that we're going to talk about here. Let's start here with the Yankees, because that's what we do here, right? There's not really much going on. Pitchers and catchers report on Wednesday. There are a few guys already down in Tampa working out. Gary Sanchez is down there. Greg Bird is down there. Paxton's down there. I saw him throwing the other day. I do like that Greg Bird reported early, as we spoke on the last episode of the NYYST podcast. This is it for Greg Bird. It's do or die for this guy. So for him to show up early, to get to camp early, shows that he's taking this seriously, and he needs to, because that leash, the chain, it's getting small now. There's only so much more that the Yankees are going to take out of him. Does he deserve another opportunity? It's hard to say. The guys initially came up in 2015. He hit 11 home runs in I don't know, what did he play, like a month and a half? So you saw the potential there. 2016, 2017, he was hurt. He had that big home run against Andrew Miller in the ALDS in 2017. I mean, how long are we going to hang our hat on that? I don't want to take it away from him. It won a game. The Yankees won that game 1-0. But, are we supposed to keep giving Greg Bird opportunity after opportunity because he hit one postseason home run? And last year was supposed to be the year that Greg Bird was finally going to step into being a star. And he ended up getting benched for friggin' Luke Voit. Now, yeah, granted, Luke Voit was amazing last year, but it just goes to show you how bad Greg Bird was, that Brian Cashman was in the market for a guy like Luke Voit, and that a guy like Luke Voit was able to basically make Greg Bird irrelevant. So now here we are. We're about to start spring training, and this is it for Greg Bird. Greg Bird needs to, excuse the expression, but drop his balls on the floor and say, hey, look, guys, I'm here. I'm the guy that you think I am, and I'm going to be the first baseman. So he's got to go out there and he's got to work his ass off, and he's got to prove that he is going to be the first baseman for New York Yankees. Now, I don't know what to expect out of Greg Bird. You heard the rumblings that he wasn't even completely healthy last year and blah, blah, blah. No excuses. I don't care if he gets hit by a bus. If he's on the field this year, he needs to produce, or that's it. You got to cut ties, and that's just the way it is. Now, some people think that Luke Voit has an advantage, a leg up in the competition. I don't 100% agree with that, mainly because of the Yankees' lack of left-handed power in their lineup, especially with Didi being injured. They're going to need a left-handed bat, and Bird is a better defensive player than Luke Voit is. And we'll talk about this more tomorrow, and you'll hear it Monday in episode 99 of the NYYST podcast, as we look ahead to spring training, is that the Yankees are not a great defensive team in the infield. Outfield-wise, yeah. You could put their outfield defense up against anybody's, but infield, it doesn't look so good, especially that you have questions with Andujar, Torres, I think Torres will eventually be a great defensive player. He wasn't last year. Maybe he gets some of that out of his way. Is LeMahieu going to play regularly? Because if he does, then that shores up a lot of things. So we'll see what the situation is with Greg Bird. He's got a lot to prove. This is his last opportunity. So that's basically what it comes down to. The other thing with the Yankees is that Hal Steinbrenner spoke at the owners' meetings the other day, and he kind of clapped back a little bit about the fans out there, and you know who you are, that have called the Yankees cheap this year. So he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, is I don't understand how we're being cheap. Our payroll is around $220 million. It's way up from last year. So how are we being cheap? And then he went on to say, and this is how Yankees Twitter explained DJ versus Gleyber at second base. Well, basically, it's going to come down to what the Yankees are going to do with Troy Tulowitzki. If Troy Tulowitzki's healthy, he's going to play shortstop. And then Gleyber's at second if Tulo's not healthy, then you probably are looking at a situation where Gleyber's going to be your shortstop. And DJ LeMahieu is going to be playing second base. But back to what I was saying here about Hal and what he said, the team... Oh, this is what I was saying. I'm sorry. See, this is what happens when I'm answering questions as we're doing a live stream here. I kind of forget what the hell's going on. The team... Oh, yes, see, I forgot again. I remembered, then I forgot, and I remembered, and I forgot. Now I'm back, so let's get right into it. He left the door open just a smidge for those that want Harper Machado, that he said he's never done until it's opening day. And then, obviously you can't sign free. You're not going to be signing free agents anymore at that point. But what does it mean that he's not done? And he used the words like if he's presented with something, which almost leads me to believe that this is Brian Cashman's call, that Harper or Machado is not here. Because it sounds like, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just based on what I heard, it sounds like Hal, if he's presented with something that makes sense, he would be agreeable to it. And I think if you look at the past history of the Yankees, Hal leaves these type of decisions up to Brian Cashman. And when Cashman wants something, he goes to Hal and he says, hey, I want this. Here's how it fits. Here's how it makes sense. And then Hal, as far as we know, he's always said yes. The only time that he's kind of put the squash on things is they wanted to get under the luxury tax. And you cannot fault them for that, because the Red Sox did the same thing. They got under the luxury tax. They won a World Series. So now the Yankees got under the luxury tax. They have spent money. I don't want to fight with anybody that says that are telling me that they didn't. They spent a lot of money this offseason. Just look at the contracts that they have handed out. And especially in comparison to what's being spent around Major League Baseball, the Yankees have spent money. And now they're looking to go win their World Series. All right, so now what Hal's trying to do is not be like the Red Sox and win one and then not be able to do anything. Because now, yeah, granted, you win one, it's great, you achieved your goal, but you want to be able to sustain that beyond the year that you win the World Series. And it doesn't look like the Red Sox are going to be able to do that because, look, they lost Joe Kelly. It doesn't look like they're going to re-sign Craig Kimbrell. They have no bullpen to speak of, while the Yankees are going out there and re-signing Zach Britton and bringing him Adam Ottavino when they already have Dylan Betances, Chad Green, and Aroldis Chapman. They already had 3 really good to great options out of the bullpen, and they went out and they got 2 more. And then you look at the Red Sox, they don't want to spend the money right now. Yes, they won the World Series, and you look at things differently when you win the World Series. But the Yankees want to sustain this and be able to make future additions beyond if they win in 2019. So I think that's what we also have to look at as we move forward here. I know not everybody wants to look at tomorrow. Everybody's always about today and what's going to happen today. But Hal's running a business, and Brian Cashman is trying to keep his job beyond this week. So these are things that the Yankees have to look at. So they have to be able to make sure that this is sustainable beyond 2019. So yeah, let's go. Like I always say, before we worry about winning 2. We got to win 1. But you also want to put yourself in a position that you are able to win past the first one. And it doesn't look like the Red Sox have put themselves in that type of position. Now, granted, they're bringing back the same offensive team. They're bringing back the same rotation. But in an era of baseball where the bullpens are so important, it doesn't look like they have one. And you can't sell me on any of those guys are going to be able to stand up to 162 games. You can get away with doing things like having Chris Sale close out games and have Nate Eovaldi be your stud out of the bullpen in the postseason. There's not type of stuff you can get away with in a 162-game season. So that's why when people ask me who I think is the best-built team, the favorite to win the AL East right now, I lean towards the Yankees, because if you want to say that you want to give a slight edge to the Red Sox offensively because maybe they have more bat-on-ball type guys and my lights just flickered and I don't know why. It is very windy outside, though. You want to say that their starting rotation is better. It's not that much better if it is at all. I mean, they do have the best pitcher, but I think the Yankees might be a little bit deeper. The big edge comes in the bullpen, and that's where the Yankees, I think, will be able to make up the ground and win the American League East this year. Plus, I don't see the Red Sox winning 108 games. They were historically good last year. Now, that's not to say that they can't win the World Series again this year, because we've seen the Yankees were historically good in 98, and then they won in 99, and they weren't even that good in 2000, but they still won the World Series this year, that year. So, we'll see. It remains to be seen how that will play out, but, that's what the season's for. Now, I want to talk about here today is these proposed, these proposed rule changes in Major League Baseball. Now, the couple of big ones here is the universal DH, which none of this stuff looks like it's going to happen this year, more maybe so for 2020. The NL elitists need to get off their high horse. Nobody wants to see the pitcher hit. The added strategy of a double switch is stupid, okay? That's just my opinion, but it's dumb. Like, I got to take my pitcher out in the 7th inning because he's due up, and I'm going to double switch a 219 utility guy for him. Nobody cares. Get off your high horse. No one cares. Watching pitchers hit is boring. It's stupid and it's lame. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because nobody does it. Nobody does it. In high school, they do it. Why? Because usually the pitcher is one of your best players, and he hits also. But, you get to college, you get to the minor leagues, these guys aren't hitting anymore. They're not hitting anymore. And you bring them up, and all of a sudden now, you want to watch them hit. Why? That's real exciting. It's stupid. Let's get the DH here, and let's get a move on here. I can't deal with, if you can present something to me, whatever, I don't care. But like Evan Roberts, he's an NL elitist. Like, don't force that. Shut up. Like, please, just be quiet. Nobody wants to watch a pitcher hit. You don't. That's not exciting. That's not baseball. Look, I'll tell you something right now. If you got drafted by an NL team, right? If you got drafted by an NL team, and all through their minor league system, you hit as a pitcher, I'd be okay with it. Right? That's what I would be definitely okay with, because from the time you get drafted to the time that you make it to the big leagues, you're still hitting, but you don't. You don't. So what is the point of it? You don't hit for 10 years, and all of a sudden you get to the big leagues, and then you hit. What's a good hitting pitcher? He hits 170? That's exciting? No. Like, I'd rather, if I'm a Met fan, right, and I got Cespedes and I got Robbie Cano, wouldn't I rather see one of those guys who are, might be defensive liabilities as they get older, especially with Cespedes' injuries, be a DH and stick a big bat like that in my lineup? Come on. And it might help some of these guys get jobs, that they would have a whole nother league to go to where they could just hit. Come on now. Yeah, and thank you, Jay. And nobody wants to see these friggin' guys get hurt. How many times did the Yankees have to lose a friggin' pitcher because they're on the base paths? We saw with Chien-Ming Wang, he was never the same. His career was I will go on record as saying his career was ruined because of that injury that he suffered in Houston when Houston was still a National League team and whatever the hell he did there. He was never the same pitcher, and he was a really good pitcher. Maybe not an ace, but he was the Yankees' number one. He won 19 games back-to-back years. He was really, really, really good, and he was never the same after that. And then Tanaka, we missed him for what, 6 weeks last year? He blew out both of his friggin' hamstrings trying to tag up from home. These guys are not conditioned to do it. You can't, oh, they're athletes. They're pitchers. They're not conditioned to do these things. And then all of a sudden you want them to do these things, especially American League guys where they might only have to pick up a bat once a year? Come on. That's not baseball. To me, that's not exciting. The other rule change, the big one that they're talking about, I had a stromboli for dinner and a little too garlicky, I guess. The 3 batter minimum for a pitcher. And here, for anybody that's not watching live, I just gave the camera the middle finger. 3 batter minimum. Kiss my ass. Come on. You think that's how much time is that really going to save? And then you're going to have these managers try to come up with ways around it. And then what if let's say with 1 out in the 7th, Boone's looking to get a double play, brings in Britton and double play, and then he doesn't want to bring him out for the 8th. He wants to go to Betances. Now he has to pitch their first batter in the 8th? How are they going to legislate this? It's stupid. It's just like the friggin', how do you call it? Just waving the fingers for an intentional walk. It doesn't save any time. You're ruining the game. And look, I know they don't care about the old farts like me, the people that are old school and like the way a certain way baseball is played, and they're trying to speed things up because of the attention spans that these friggin' kids have, and that if it's not Fortnite, they don't give a shit about it. But don't ruin my game. You should be doing what you can to keep your fans happy, not trying to attract some jackass that doesn't like baseball. Oh, now the pitcher has to face 3 batters. Oh, let me say 48 seconds. So now these kids will put down their video games and watch baseball. No, they won't. No, they won't. You want to speed up the game. Here's how you speed up the game. You make sure that the batter don't step out of the box. And you make sure the pitcher's on the rubber right after he gets the ball. No more walking around. No more taking a Sunday stroll. In the box, on the mound. Let's go. Let's get a move on here. That's what you want to do. And these 3 batter minimum thing, this is going to affect the end of the game. Yeah, notice how you can get through the first 6 innings of a baseball game in like an hour. And all of a sudden it takes 2 hours to play the last 3. But that's the most important part of the game. That's when all the strategy is going in. These managers are trying to win a game and you're taking it away from them. Come on. Give me a break. The other thing I heard, they did. It's no longer the disabled list. It's the injured list because they don't want the connotation of disability not being able to play sports. It's a political correctness thing. It is what it is. I'm still going to call it the disabled list. It's going to take a good year before it clicks into my brain. When I tweet injuries, I'm still going to say X to the DL. It's just going to be one of those things. I understand why they did it, but it's not, I don't want to say anything. It's all about being PC nowadays, and it's fine. It is what it is. It's not a big deal, but, whatever. It's not that I have anything against anybody with disabilities, right? It's not. I don't want to come off across that way, but the way Major League Baseball worded it, it was like it just seems like they bowed down to somebody, came at them and said, "Oh, you can't say this anymore." Been saying it for how long? If it's offensive to people, then fine, then I agree, change it, just so we don't have to have this type of shit anymore. I don't know. I don't want to make it seem like I'm insensitive towards certain things, because I'm not. I understand there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and people have ailments, and or I'm trying to be sensitive to things. But the fact that Major League Baseball came out with this whole statement yesterday, just call it the injured list. That's it. It's an injured list. It's an injured reserve, and you're on the IR in football, so no one would have even said anything. But the fact, it just made it seem like they were forced into doing it, and I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, not much else going on baseball-wise, so the other thing I wanted to, as I like to do in these shows here, is talk about other stuff. And the other stuff is The Sopranos today. And I know the show has been off the air for now 13 years, but it's topical again. 20-year anniversary of the debut, and the movie's coming out later this year. So it's something to talk about. The Many Saints of Newark, it's a prequel movie, which we found out that James Gandolfini's son will be playing young Tony, which honestly will be pretty awesome. But as I'm talking to myself now, because I guess nobody cares about The Sopranos, that was a major, major nosedive there. It is what it is. It's my show. I'm going to talk about what I want on it. I binged The Sopranos in 20 days, as I tweeted the other day. I don't know whether to be proud of myself or ashamed, because I believe the fastest I ever watched that show was 28 days, and that was when I didn't have a job or a life or a wife, and I just sat in my house watching TV all day. But I guess that's what happens when you're homesick for 2 days and you can just sit there and watch The Sopranos for 12 hours. What is that thing everybody talks about with The Sopranos? Is Tony Soprano dead? Does he die at the end of the show? I don't know, guys. Does he die at the end of the show? Everybody's got their own theory on it. I got my theory on it. Now, I will never argue with anybody that believes that he's dead, because there's plenty of evidence to suggest that. But you can never tell me definitively that that he's dead. You can't tell me that, because even David Chase has said that he purposely left it ambiguous. Right now, people were misquoting what he said in a recent article, where he said that something about a death scene. He had written a death scene for Tony. Now, that doesn't mean that was his death scene. It just means that he had written one and they changed the final scene of the series. That's all that means. Because in Rocky V, the original version of that script had Rocky dying in the street. And guess what? They did 3 more friggin' movies. So, it doesn't mean... In the original Rambo First Blood, he's supposed to put a bullet in his head at the end of the movie. And now they're on their way to a 4th Rambo sequel. So just because something's written doesn't mean that that's what it means when you come to shoot it. Yeah, it was kind of annoying, because I remember watching the Sopranos finale with a bunch of my friends, and we're all just like, what? Like, how does that end like that? Like, just fades to black? Yeah, he does say with Bobby in the boat about it just fades out black, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And that's what people lean towards. But here's why I lean on the side that he's not dead. Because who did it? Who killed him? And why? Now, you're going to have the people that say that the guy in the members only jacket whacked him. Okay, why? Who is he? Who's that guy? You don't know. Now, all of a sudden, some random jerk-off kills Tony Soprano in the last 10 seconds of this series? Like, you can't end it like that. Think about it. Phil's dead. He had the truce with Butch. So who's out for him? Who is out for him? You don't know. And that's the whole point. If you could have sold me on somebody that was still out there, that would have been out for him, then I would lean towards the side that somebody killed him. But why would anybody kill him at this point? That's what I'm that's what I'm saying here. Like, to me, it doesn't connect that way. I don't know. I'm excited to see the movie, the prequel about the Newark riots, and when Tony was coming up, and it's going to be a good movie. I think a lot of the original people that wrote and did The Sopranos are behind it, so it's not some just like trash thing. So I'm excited for it, but I don't know. I don't think he's dead. Especially that they were all if they ever wanted to bring the character back. Well, that's the whole thing too. Like, if they ever wanted to bring the character back, even if David Chase goes to his grave and on his deathbed is like, yeah, he's dead. Even if they wanted to bring the character back, they left it so wide open that it didn't matter. They could have just said, oh, he wasn't dead. But I don't think he is. That's just me. If you're going to tell me differently, then fine, tell me differently. There's some guy who wrote a 10,000 word essay about how he is and all the evidence. That's good. And I'm glad that guy had that much time on his hands to write that essay. It doesn't convince me. It doesn't. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it. But all right, so I guess that's it for today. Little Greg Bird, a little rule changes, and a little Sopranos. So a full slate here on episode 6 of Hitting Hard. I want to thank everybody that join me. There's one of you who's watching right now. As soon as we started, normally when we move off baseball, I see a dip. Oh, dude, wow. It's like when we started talking about The Sopranos, and, I guess nobody cares, but I do, so sorry. Hopefully you'll listen to this on iTunes when it hits in a couple days, and that'll be that. So thank you for watching, and if you're listening on when this hits the podcast waves, listening to episode 6 of Hitting Hard, follow me on Twitter at Christian_NYYST. And thank you for, I said that twice already, so, okay. I'm telling you guys, one day I will come up with a good signature goodbye. Today is not that day, so I'll see you in the next episode.